Yet there's a voice in your head that never stops, narrating, judging, analyzing every moment. 1 minute it's comforting, the next it's tearing you down, and it always claims to be you. If it were really you, wouldn't it stay the same? What if you're not actually the voice, but the one who hears it? This one shift in perspective could change everything about how you see yourself and your mind. If that idea sparked something in you, go ahead and like the video and subscribe, because understanding that inner voice is just the beginning of mastering your mind. Most people go through life assuming that the constant voice in their head is who they are. It's so persistent and familiar that you hardly ever question it. But let's pause and look at how it actually works. When a thought appears, maybe a worry about tomorrow, a memory from last week, or a random comment about your surroundings, did you choose it? Most of the time, the answer is no. The inner voice just starts up, narrating everything from your breakfast choice to your biggest regrets. It analyzes, judges, and replays all without your permission. This voice operates on autopilot. You're walking down the street and suddenly you hear, "Why did I say that at work?" Or, "I hope I don't look foolish." It doesn't just describe your life, it critiques it, sometimes harshly. And here's the strange part. You probably accept this commentary as your own. But if it truly represented you, why does it say things you don't want to hear? Why does it bring up doubts, replay embarrassing moments, or surface thoughts you'd rather never have? Let's look at intrusive thoughts. Maybe you've been driving and out of nowhere, a bizarre idea flashes through your mind. What if I just swerved into that divider? Or you're holding something fragile and suddenly think, what if I drop this right now? These thoughts feel alien. They don't fit your character and you wonder, why would I even think that? The answer is simple and unsettling. You didn't choose it. Intrusive thoughts arise uninvited, proof that your mind isn't under your direct control. This is where the illusion of identity with the inner voice begins to crack. Scientists estimate about 60,000 thoughts per day, yet you didn't consciously choose most of them. That's an overwhelming number, and if you pay attention, you'll notice that many of those thoughts contradict each other. One moment you think, I can handle this, and the next, I'm not good enough. If you were truly in charge of every thought, would you design this kind of chaos? Of course not. The randomness and conflict in your mental chatter show that you're not the real author of most of it. Imagine a 24/7 radio you never turned on. The inner voice is like that, broadcasting non-stop, whether you want to listen or not. You're the listener, not the broadcaster. Sometimes the station is calm, sometimes it's pure static, but it's always running. The real question isn't why the mind broadcasts this way, it's who is actually listening. Most people never notice this separation. They believe every negative comment or anxious prediction the voice makes. When it says, "You're not good enough," they accept it as truth. When it replays a mistake, they feel shame all over again. All the while, they're unaware that this voice is just a mental habit, a mechanical process, not a reflection of their true self. It keeps running, looping through judgments and worries unless you step back and notice it. If you're not the one creating these thoughts, then what is? Maybe it's a survival mechanism, a leftover function from a mind wired for danger and planning. Or maybe it's just a side effect of having a brain that never stops firing. But here's what matters. This voice is not you. It's not your core identity. It's a function of the mind, a stream of automatic commentary, sometimes helpful, often just noise. Right now, as you listen, you might notice your own mind reacting, agreeing, doubting, or analyzing. Who is noticing that reaction? Who is aware of the thoughts as they come and go? That's the deeper part of you, the observer, the awareness behind the mental noise. Most people never realize this. They stay tangled up in the voice, letting it shape their emotions, beliefs, and even their sense of self. This is how the inner voice ends up controlling so much of your life, by convincing you that you are it. The real problem isn't the voice itself, but the fact that you identify with it without question. Very few people ever pause to ask, if I'm not the voice, then who am I? And that's the question that changes everything. Instead of getting lost in the constant stream of thoughts, consider this. The real shift happens when you realize there's a part of you quietly watching it all unfold. This is the hidden truth, what psychologists and mindfulness teachers have pointed to for decades. You are not the thinker. You are the observer, the awareness that notices thoughts come and go without getting swept away. Let's make this real for a moment. Close your eyes and pay attention to the next thought that pops up. Who noticed that thought? The very fact that you can ask this question proves there's a gap between you and the thought itself. That gap is your awareness. It's silent, it doesn't judge, and it simply sees what's happening in your mind. This is not the part that generates the mental chatter, but the one that hears it. A subtle but powerful distinction. Think about those times you catch yourself overthinking, maybe replaying a conversation or worrying about something that hasn't happened. Suddenly you realize, I'm really overthinking this. That recognition is your observer in action. It's the part of you that can step back and see the mental noise for what it is, instead of being consumed by it. If you were only your thoughts, you'd never notice you were stuck in a loop. The observer makes it possible to notice and create distance. This idea isn't just philosophical. Mindfulness research backs it up. In mindfulness practice, you're taught to watch thoughts without judgment, letting them pass by like clouds. Studies show just minutes a day of non-judgmental observation weakens habitual loops. You start to see thoughts as temporary mental events, not facts or commands you must follow. Psychologists call this cognitive diffusion, seeing thoughts as mere mental events, not facts. When you practice this, you stop attaching so much importance to every thought that arises. The thoughts lose their grip, and you gain clarity. Consider another example. Maybe someone insults you, and anger flares up. In that moment, it feels like you are the anger. But later, when you reflect and see how intense your reaction was, you realize you were swept up by a thought pattern. That ability to look back and see your reaction means the observer was always present. It's the part that's steady even when the mind is chaotic. Most people never notice this separation. They move through life believing every thought, every judgment, every worry is who they are. The problem is, when you identify with the mental chatter, you give away control. The voice in your head becomes your master, dictating your mood, your self-worth, and your choices. But the moment you recognize the observer, you reclaim your freedom. You create space between yourself and the noise, and in that space, you find calm and perspective. Here's the truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the one watching, listening, and existing in a quiet awareness that thoughts can't touch. Once you see this, your experience of life shifts. The thoughts keep coming, but you no longer get caught in them. It's like watching clouds move across the sky. The sky isn't disturbed by the clouds. It simply holds them and lets them pass. You are the sky, not the passing weather. This shift doesn't require effort or force. It starts with a simple question: who is hearing this? Each time you notice a judgment, a worry, or even a random mental comment, pause and ask. Notice the awareness behind the thought. That brief moment is your true self. The more you practice, the less power the mental chatter holds. Your mind becomes a tool, not a tyrant, one you can use with intention instead of being used by it. Understanding that you are the observer is only the beginning. The real challenge is learning how to stay in this perspective when the mental noise gets loud. How do you watch your thoughts without being pulled back into them? That's the next step, and it's what we'll look at now. Breaking free from the grip of your thoughts isn't about shutting them down or drowning them out. It's about seeing them for what they are, passing events that don't demand your attention. Suppressing thoughts only makes them stronger. The more you try to push them away, the more power you give them. On the other hand, getting lost in your thoughts, treating every worry or judgment as if it's the truth, just tightens their hold. The problem is, most people don't realize there's a third option. You can simply watch your thoughts, letting them drift by without trying to hold on to them or push them away. Picture this. You're sitting in a room with someone who never stops talking. They ramble about everything, complaints, stories, random opinions. You don't have to argue, agree, or silence them. If you just listen without reacting, their words lose their force. They become background noise instead of something you have to respond to. That's how your mind works. The inner voice is the nonstop talker, but you don't have to engage with it. You can observe it, let it run, and notice how it starts to lose its grip when you stop feeding it your attention. This isn't just a nice idea. Modern psychology backs it up. Practices like mindfulness and cognitive distancing, viewing thoughts as passing events, show you can separate from mental chatter. Cognitive distancing is about seeing your thoughts as mental events, not facts. When you create that space, the emotional charge behind your thoughts fades. You stop treating every thought as an urgent truth and start seeing them as temporary, just passing through. Let's make this practical. Right now, pause and notice whatever thought is in your mind. Maybe you're thinking about what I just said, or maybe your mind jumped to your to-do list. Just notice the thought and ask yourself, who is hearing this? This single question triggers the shift into observer mode, backed by mindfulness studies. Instead of being lost in the story, you step back. You're no longer the character in the drama, you're the one watching it unfold. This shift is subtle, but it's powerful. You realize that you can watch your thoughts without being consumed by them. When you keep practicing this, you'll see a real change. The thoughts that used to dominate your attention start to lose their intensity. The mental loops, those old worries and judgments, don't pull you in like they used to. It's not that your mind goes silent. The thoughts still come and go. But now, you're not trapped by them. You're standing apart, watching. In that space, you find clarity and peace. It's like stepping out of a noisy crowd and realizing you don't have to join in. The noise is still there, but it doesn't control you. Remember this, a thought is just like a cloud moving across the sky. It's not permanent, and it doesn't define you. The sky isn't changed by the clouds that pass through it. In the same way, the real you, the observer, remains untouched by the thoughts that come and go. When you forget this, you start to believe every thought matters, that every worry or doubt is a sign of who you are. That's when anxiety and self-doubt creep in. But if you stay as the sky and let the thoughts be the clouds, you'll see they pass on their own, without your effort. You don't need to meditate for hours or become an expert to use this. It's as simple as asking, who is hearing this? Whenever you notice yourself getting pulled into a thought, pause, shift your attention back to the observer. Each time you do this, you're loosening the grip your thoughts have on you. Over time, your mind becomes quieter. Not because you forced it, but because you stopped feeding the noise. Think about what that means for your life. The inner voice loses its power. The cycles of negativity and worry fade, not because you silenced them, but because you let them go. What fills the space they leave behind is freedom, clarity, and a sense of peace you might not have realized you could reach. If you found this useful, hit like and subscribe to explore more ways to reclaim your mind. The mind will always produce thoughts, but you don't have to be defined by them. There's something deeper, something steady, waiting for you to notice. You are not the thinker. You are the awareness behind the thinking. Thoughts will keep coming, but they don't define you. The key isn't to stop thinking. It's to stop clinging to those thoughts, to stop mistaking them for who you are. Try it now. Just observe one thought without judgment. Notice the chatter in your mind and let it drift by. Each time you step into the observer's seat, you loosen the grip of the voice in your head. So next time your mind storms, remember, are you the clouds or the sky? Let me know in the comments. What shift did you notice when you asked, who is hearing this?